Right, let's try this. Nothing much to say on the comments. I think I've said everything to everybody that replied that I wanted to. So I feel that we have run on a bit and feel that it might be of interest to stop and look back. So with that in mind, I've got I was looking again last night at some non-duality speaking type people. I'll just pick one. No, I don't need to pick one. It's not necessary. So we'll shut that off. My thought was that going through Axel, really, if Axel hadn't come along so quickly, I wouldn't have gone so quickly, because Axel knows more about the science than me. I won't say anybody, but I would say probably anybody here. And what we get with the science is you look at it, and there are lots of it that when it's really looked at, it's assumptions and gaps, and more assumptions put into those gaps to make it all link up. It's good until you get out into the really, you know, multi-dimensional stuff and or string theory, and I'm not up on that, but it just smacks of desperation to me. As in, it's probably what I'm going to do now. It's you kind of come to a problem and you just think of things that it could possibly be. Now, that's not bad. I mean, it's probably the only way forward. But it must be said that things have progressed so fast since 1905 that the things that have to be proposed scientifically as could be's are pretty wild shit. Could be right, or one of them could be right. But that's the thing about science, that generally only one's right and the rest are kind of wrong. That's what science is. Well, it used to be. See, it's all too complex for me now. Right, so what I wanted to imagine between us, as in not digging too scientifically, is what could be going on in the heads of these so-called enlightened people, what are on the YouTubes like. One of the things that I'm solid on starting with, because I can remember it that I wanted to say it, was that they often say that there is nobody here saying anything. Now, that's fine with me, because that fits in with the thing I've been saying for the last 10 years about why there's no free will. So obviously I'm going to go along with that. But there's a lot more from them seemingly that either stems from that, or that is just one thing and there are plenty of others. But on that particular one, there is no person. As some of them say, somewhere between 1-year-old and 4-year-old, the baby child develops a sense of self, and as soon as that sense of self is established, everything else is established. This is to remind me of something. So I go to Antonio Damasio, who I've probably thrown the books away now, well, given them away. I take them to England and give them to charity. I don't know if I've kept one, but I think I've read 2 or 3 of his, and he kind of is a neuroscience type that maps what happens actually in the brain. And the brain has this, I've spoken of it many times, this map in the brain of the body, and things are referred to it. So when you go this goes up to the brain and it refers on that map, it's a map, to that part of the body, the palm of the hand, and then it comes out again to a part of the brain that goes, you're being touched in the palm of the hand. And what I'm thinking is that we can imagine that somewhere between 1 and 4 years old, this map is laid out and put into use. It might just be an advanced thing that isn't done out of mummy's tummy. It takes a bit of time to get the neurons all pulled and pushed into the right places. I don't know. I'm just discussing, as it were. As soon as this map's in place, the person is then created, because it is a thing that can feel its self. It's got a self-referential point. It's kind of I have my priority pyramid over here. It's kind of an antenna on the top of that, which is a global positioning satellite system, or global positioning system, developed out of not particularly the body map, but the body map and other things that might come with it in the development between 1 and 4 years. And at 4 years, you've got the body map plus the global positioning thing, where the rest of the brain, with reference to that map, is knowing that there is a definite here and there are other things out there. Now here we come to the humans being special part, which I've never liked, but for this I'm going to go with. That it's a bit, let's say in monkeys, it's a bit that way, but in a rat, it's not. They just don't have that sort of antenna, global positioning antenna. You see, I don't like it at all. So let's just stick to humans. So the child has this global positioning antenna, which puts it in a place. It is a thing that is in a place, and that place is at the center of everything. Always is at the center of everything, because it's always, it can get on a plane and go to Singapore, but when it gets to Singapore, it's still in the center of everything in Singapore, and can presume that the universe is out there, but it's always at the center of it. So, cut a long story short, that whatever it is that develops over those 4 years, 3 years, whatever it might be as a child, could as an adult degrade and break down. And so the adult is then firing on a pre-that system of a 1-year-old, let's say, where it doesn't have the self-referential system established in the brain that most everybody has and keep for some reason. And this is where this breaks down. It seems to break down more in seekers, people that are looking for it to break down. It breaks down in. Now, this almost can't be, because what would be the lever, what would be the action to actually break down what would be a physical system of the brain? It's a degradation. I'm not saying it's bad, but it is something that's established, that's got to be unestablished again to go back. Although the other parts of the brain work as an adult, this part of the system, which is the self-referential bit that thinks it's the I, and it's the most important bit that's all developed in the young child, has broken down. So you've got, let's say, 7/8 adult, and this one particular bit that developed has undeveloped and is acting as a child. So you've got an enlightened person that's 7/8 adult and 1/8 child. But it doesn't account for quite a lot of other things that they say. I think I'll leave it there because we had a big video to yesterday, and I can see that we've already come up in time. And I'm not sure on the volume of this because of my breakdown. So I'll leave it there and hope that that kind of promotes a reasonable discussion, because when we're talking about these enlightened people, it's so very, very easy to get unreasonable about the whole thing, because it's so weird. It's out of our knowledge and understanding, but I think that I was quite fair in saying why we don't understand. Anyway, we'll leave that alone and see if we can develop some sort of talk on what might be going on with these enlightened peeps. Leave it there. Thanks for getting this far with me. Leave it there, Nick. Bye.